Hey everyone, and welcome to the Best of 3 Call of Duty Esports podcast. I'm your host, Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bash_BO3, and to our farthest right, per usual, is none other than Rex, Shady, Nero, and guys, we got a lot to talk about today, per usual. Oh my word. Obviously, week 1 of stage 3 is in the books. We had debuts from like half the league, basically, this weekend. Of course, including some standout debuts like Hydra for New York, beating Atlanta FaZe, and we have a lot to go through today with predictions. We're doing a mid-season MVP award ceremony, a little award situation, and predicting for the rest of the season as well, considering we're basically about halfway through the year. Before we get to any of that, guys, I've got to ask, what's going on?
Ooh-wee. Josh, I am feeling like Mr. Rogers going out on a Saturday evening and getting twisted off the Henny, and I'm thinking to myself, ooh-wee, it's been a good week.
Mr. Rogers twisted on the Henny.
Rest in peace.
Yeesh. Oh my word, Sam. How you doing? Rex came in like just
fist bumping the club without a care in the world.
Wow.
Mr. Rogers, man. What a show.
Could you imagine that? No, that'd be something. But
I mean, I'm doing good.
You're doing well?
It's hot.
It is hot. It's like the first day that hit 90 here.
It's hot in the old Cornhusker
Things
State.
you hate to see.
Nebraska.
But it's been wild, boys. We got Mr. Rogers on board. We got
the
hottest guy himself. And we got myself here on board. And we got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, you can listen on Apple Podcasts. You can watch on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify. You can drop a comment on YouTube. You can drop a review on Apple Podcasts. And today we're reading one from, I got twisted here. Like Mr. Rogers.
He's twisted off the Henny.
Optic Fan 123 says, just breathing in clean air. This podcast is what I look for in a podcast. The best Call of Duty Esports podcast. They cover everything I look for. And Rex, how you doing, baby?
Oh, I am feeling woo after this week.
Oh, baby. Optic Fan is hyped to hear it. And a good old 5-star review from him. You can drop a review on Apple Podcasts, though, because we are out of reviews.
Oh.
What in the world, guys? It's been like weeks.
Louise.
It's running dry around here.
Drought.
Man.
Spare change for review.
Please. But we got a lot to get into today, boys. So without further ado, let's get right into the news of the week.
The Call of Duty News of the Week.
Alrighty. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I mean, this week there isn't as much spicy news per usual than
last week.
I mean, last week there was just nukes. There's nukes going off everywhere.
Nukes.
And so we had to go through it this week, obviously. So, you know, some small things. Let's start with the hottest piece of news from the week. Of course, Huke was benched. That was the thing.
Rhymes with nuke.
That's right with nuke. That's the thing.
Big nuke right there.
It happened basically right after our podcast was coming out, or like after we recorded. I mean, it happened the next day, which really was unfortunate. And so it just was a really unfortunate situation as a whole, because we were trying to get it out of the pod, and it was just like, oh my word, seriously. So then we had to make the video about that. So just not great timing. Now it's like old news at this point, but it was definitely the wildest news in a long time. So, obviously, we're still trying to figure out exactly what happened. I guess real quick, I just want to hear your opinions on whether or not you truly believe that it was a competitive decision or not. Because at this point, it still seems split pretty 50-50 in the community.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have different sources from like different people claiming different things. And I am interested to hear your thoughts, because we never got like a personal answer on that situation from like any of the players.
Besides, we may never get one.
Right.
Till like next year or something.
So thoughts on the situation?
What makes it weird is that they had already played their first match in this stage.
Right. That's
and
really weird.
They make this decision.
After they won.
3-1.
Which, you know, they didn't play their greatest COD probably, especially in that first map where it was, but it was reset on Garrison.
Yeah.
And then they come out. It wasn't ideal, but yeah, for sure.
I don't know. My opinion is it's not because of how he was playing. I mean, maybe that's more of what I want to believe, just because I still can't believe that he got dropped.
Yeah. Benched, all right.
Benched,
No.
yeah.
Calm down.
I mean, you can literally say they went from top 2 to top 3 in the major. So it's like, yeah, that's a
Let's drop a top 10 player in the league.
That's a step down, but at the same time, you're still top 3 overall.
Right.
In both majors.
Oh, for sure. It was wild.
I don't know. Could this be like this? They're just trying different combinations to see if anything works, and they're starting with
possible.
Huke step down. I don't know. Yeah. No, my opinion is it's more than just in the game. That's what
At
I
least
would
something
say.
else is going
Something
on
else
there.
is going on.
Yeah.
It just seems both the timing and the type of player Huke is. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's fair.
that's my opinion.
Okay.
All right. So I think them making some sort of roster change was inevitable. You could tell that they were not where they wanted to be, and it's just like it felt like they just couldn't get there. Like just that squad of 4, like they're supposed to be great, but like it seemed like every match was just a nail biter, no matter who was against.
Yeah. Although-
so something had to happen. Huke being the one is like weird, but like all of the players are all-star players. I guess a lot of people are screaming for Illy's name because he was the flex. It would have been just a straight up, Illy for Felo, Huke and Shotzi stay where they are. But I mean, I would guess that maybe there's a little bit of kind of like, there's something more like, I don't know how to describe this other than like more like emotional going
Okay.
on there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
who, like a vibes thing that they want to keep creating that I think is that's the only way I could see how it kind of would tail off towards Huke being that guy instead of using the straight up trade with Illy and Felo. But I guess, and Illy maybe wanted to try the sub, and maybe they thought they tried him, and maybe Illy was just frying in scrims, and I don't know. And Illy didn't even play that bad with a sub, to be honest.
No, definitely not.
So who knows? Even if it was Illy and Felo replaced, we still might have had the same outcome against Ultra.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, right. They ended up getting 3-0'd by Ultra, obviously. It was like a pretty close series. All the maps were close.
It was.
But it definitely is tough. I don't know. It's just like it was just such a crazy night when it happened. It was like, obviously everyone was watching the flank because if anyone's going to know, it would be those guys.
Yeah.
And like Zuma, it sounded like as if Zuma like thought he knew what was going on and then like seemed to change his mind throughout it. I don't know. It was a weird situation as a whole.
It was weird.
And then, and like, I don't know. I agree that the timing's whack. And the fact that they were like, I agree with you, Rex, that, maybe something needed to be changed, but it was just hard to picture that at that exact moment was the right play.
But would it ever have been the right moment?
Going
It never
into a
would have been.
Toronto
No matter-
match after you won your first match, that's why it's just so weird. Like if you did it before the Paris match, I'm like, okay. I mean, maybe.
The thing is, do it earlier rather than later.
Then why didn't they do it before the Paris
If
match?
they were, well, because they saw the Paris match, they saw how tight it was, and it's like this just isn't working like we wanted to. Like we're barely winning these. When we go against Toronto, Toronto is really good right now. They kind of like we're 4 that we're not going to beat Toronto right now, and they kind of just had this, I guess, realistic idea, at least what they thought of themselves.
Yeah.
And
It is
so
interesting.
they were like, well, let's just make that change now for this Toronto match, and maybe we can get a fresh eyes that will give us that spark that we need to beat them.
It's just like in Nameless's video, he said that Krim, the only thing that we've supposedly heard from Krim about this was that Krim said, look at the minimap to him when he asked him why Huke was benched.
In which I also understand, because Huke is one that kind of maybe overextended a little more than he should have. Illy plays it more safe with the team, and I guess maybe that's why Huke went to Rogue. I guess maybe to what
in a
the
lot
team
of ways,
thought was
people
right.
have always compared Huke and Envoy in that sense, and like especially in 4v4 this year with how they like to push the flanks and play isolated and like play for those big time plays. But it's like I don't know, when you watch that Toronto match, you're like, man, it'd be nice if somebody was hitting the flank right now. It'd be nice if somebody was getting a 2-piece right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like it's hard to justify that benching Huke is the right call at the end of the day. And that's why it's just hard to imagine that play makes sense from a competitive standpoint solely after a win heading into your match against the current champion of the CDL
Yeah, a little
of
fishy.
Toronto.
A little fishy.
I think there might be, I agree with you that I think there was some sort of competitive aspect to it, but there might just be a little bit more going on than we know, whether it was like internal dispute with the team or like a actual personal issue for Huke, or like if it was like a player v player personality type situation probably with Krim, if anyone.
Maybe like Huke and Krim maybe weren't seeing eye to eye.
Yeah, about a certain issue. And so Huke was like, well, all right, you're benched. Like it could have just been something like that. But at the same time, Huke is Envy's golden boy. Like he's been with them for so long. It's like, it's hard to imagine, you know?
And I mean, I really don't think there is bad blood. Huke, Illy, and Shotzi, like that's a trio.
Oh, for sure. I agree. Yeah, XEO.
A hard stuck, glued together trio. So I think Huke might have been like, in a way, it would have been like, he doesn't want to be benched. Of course, he doesn't want to be that guy, but like, he's willing to do it if it needs to, like, some sort of point needs to be made in that way.
But I think he would have said that otherwise. Like he would have been like, hey guys, he would have clarified that at some point. Like,
but that insinuates, if he tells the world about that, it insinuates some sort of drama happening in that camp, which I don't think it's going to be elevated too high, where I easily could see Huke back on this roster.
Oh,
next
for
week.
sure, 100%. All right, so that's the question. Over under, what's the odds that Huke is on the roster with it by the stage 3 major?
I don't know what the better one is. Over. I think it'll happen.
Well, what are the odds?
Oh, 80%.
Oh, okay, pretty high.
I don't know. They may give Felo a fair try through the major.
Yeah. And by the time this comes out, Huke could be back on the roster for all we know at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm going to say Felo sticks through.
Ooh, so under 50%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll say he sticks through the major at least.
What's the percent chance
of him not sticking through?
Of Huke being on it by the major?
45%.
Okay. All right.
Close to 50.
I would give it like 60% chance Huke's back on the roster, but by the major. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's hard to. I don't think we really need to beat the dead horse with this one, considering it's like a week old news at this point. And we've seen them play now, and we'll probably talk about them later when we're doing our predictions for this weekend. But it was a pretty bamboozling,
it was crazy,
mind-boggling situation, and so I thought we had to at least go over it for sure. So, okay. Other news this weekend.
Cheen.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was, I guess, news that happened after we recorded as well.
Mm-hmm.
Chino back on to LAG, of course. Thoughts on that one? But what were your thoughts on it before the matches happened? Like when we were going into it, what was your thought after the second you heard the news?
I mean, before it was just like you're replacing your best player with one of the slower ARs.
Yeah, a guy who's been like a slower player as a whole, even when he flexes.
Like,
we didn't talk about this on the last podcast?
No, that happened afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, I don't know if you're done, Sam. Are you going still?
I'm done, honestly. I just like, I was like,
I'm done.
I guess really, I was just like completely shocked, utterly shocked. I thought Vivid was like their best player.
I mean, in a way he was, but I think it's along the same lines of what Empire kind of did, where it's like they're trying to look at the mini map, I guess. Like Vivid is doing the same sort of going rogue thing. Then the other three are very much playing together and have their chemistry. And then one guy's doing his own thing. And that's what those three are seeing as the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's the issue or not, is up for debate. And I think adding Chino to that roster, you start thinking this is going to get this is going to get pretty slowed down. But I think Chino has potential to play faster than he has.
Well, he definitely put up the stats in that series.
Yeah, he did really well. Not like amazing, I guess, but he did good. Like he was solid for the squad.
But again, it was against Paris.
Yeah, right.
That's the one thing is like I wish we could have seen like more of like a middle team, like
Florida,
Florida Rocker, one of those guys. But I don't know, like maybe we're seeing more. It's like if we're all on the same page, it pays off more than like having one sort of star on your team.
I mean,
that isn't always on the same page.
Right. So and I think the big thing with them and what they said in their video is that they're trying to build this sort of chemistry. Like it's a teamwork oriented move,
for sure,
rather than just like pure raw skill sort of move. And and talking about Silly, like he was great. He's been played sub in the past.
Yeah, no,
like
definitely.
He's been playing sub most of his career, as far as I know, and so him doing that is not totally strange.
Yeah, and the fact that there are some 3AR metas still this year where you can run 3ARs and make it work. I mean,
and you can take this as you will. LEG 3-0'd Paris. Paris took a map off of Empire when they had Huke on it. So LEG did better than Empire did when Empire was playing with their regular roster.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
One map, one series each,
Oh, definitely.
So
I like the narrative. I like the narrative.
But it's not like it was these super tight matches. LEG kind of blew Paris out of the water.
Oh, yeah, they looked really, really good. Again, that map set didn't make much sense, though, when you're looking at it. Like, you're going to play Moscow against LAG, who has, is currently running, like, with Chino right now. And I'm like, what? I don't know. The maps didn't make much sense to me when you're going from Paris's perspective.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'd want to play some of the faster paced maps and just try to outpace them. But
yeah. One thing for sure, though, is, like, with all these roster moves, we're seeing some high fluidity with, like, roles. Like, I know we've, like, talked about this before, but it's, like, I feel like it's like hard for me personally to like get my mind out of like people
the 5v5 mode.
People being these hard set like players where it's like, okay, there's no way that's silly. There's no way that Cheen can play faster. There's no way, they played this certain role forever. It's like we're entering this era where it's like you pretty much a player knows what they need to do, whether they're running an AR sub.
Right.
But
back to our conversation from before, it's about the jobs that need to be done, not about the role of the player.
Exactly. So it's like, obviously, there's some exceptions where it's like, you probably never have Simp run an AR or main AR. I should say.
The role of main AR,
yes,
quote unquote.
But it definitely is strange. It really is hard to like get your mind out of that where it's like, you see these roster moves and you're like, what in the world? But like some of them are working.
Right.
And it's kind of a cool thing to see, honestly, where it's like I know even like way back in the day, Nate was like, I hate how there's like roles assigned to certain players where it's like now it's more it's more about your smart how smart you are within the game. Can you pick up these
this
jobs?
Situation? Do you know where you need to be?
Exactly.
And there's certain things that need to happen in each situation.
Yeah. So
and if a player knows how to do it, they can be a really valuable piece of the team. Which again, that's the debate. But like that's what's so hard to tell is like you don't necessarily know if they know that without watching a ton of film on these guys. Yeah. Otherwise, you have to play with them and then like really see how they fit into the team. And I don't think for a lot of these teams it's even a science yet. It's more of like let's just see what happens. Why not at this point? And especially after we're seeing teams right now who are having. Talk about the term honeymoon phase that's really gotten blown out of the proportions this year. Like every team, for the most part, has had success with roster changes until this week when every team makes a roster change. So it's like, okay, now somebody has to fail.
Someone's going to lose.
Yeah. So it's like at some point it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But that's funny. Crazy, and so I don't know. It gets tough. Literally almost every single team that's made a roster change within the first 2 or 3 matches has shown significant improvement. And then we'll see if it comes back down to earth. We saw the Rocker, struggle this weekend for the first time against Florida. And it is tough. And like back to your roles discussion, it's like maybe there is some sort of like 5v5 versus 4v4 mindset that maybe all of us or myself, I'm still stuck in a little bit with seeing how talent works on a map.
Yeah.
Where like, maybe the Vivid or the Huke, even though they are so individually talented, doesn't work as well in a situation in 4v4.
Like a certain job, if they're going more rogue.
If they're just trying to be nasty, which they are.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work as well, especially when your teammates aren't on the same page.
Yes.
And so, I don't know. I guess I could see that. Realistically, when it comes to Dallas, I'd imagine Krim was the one that made the final call there to bench Huke if it really was the case. And there's obviously some sort of the way they're playing. The same thing goes with Vivid. I don't know. I still think Vivid could be a nasty player in the right situation, though. And I always thought that he was being underutilized in LAG, and I always had to rank him a little bit lower in my tier list videos than I wanted to because he was just in a tough situation, and I didn't think it was going to really show on in-game.
Yeah.
But like, man, bro, that's why I tweeted, like, could you imagine Vivid on Florida?
That would be insane.
Although Florida played good, so hey.
I know. It is kind of weird, though. Yeah, it's like, I still think it's a possibility that Florida makes another roster change. Like, maybe Havoc is just kind of a placeholder right now, but I don't know. We'll see. They beat Rocker. So
my thing's Neptune. We're not talking about Florida, but wow.
Neptune.
I'm gonna go out and say it. Neptune has been too inconsistent, and people I feel like are giving him way too much slack than what he should be getting.
No pun intended.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like he's like people are cutting him a lot of slack. Why? Like he does
Actually, slack
really
was
bad.
cut.
Like sometimes he's just bad, and no one talks about it. And I don't know. I'm gonna be the guy that talks about it. Neptune has been inconsistent, and he hasn't been great.
I think it's more of a he needs the right player with him. Like he needs Vivid with him.
I mean,
Yeah, that would be a
right?
nasty duo.
I
mean,
think
truly.
it'd be nasty.
Yeah.
He has Awakening with him. He has Skies with
Yeah, but
him.
the
Not-
SMG
he's not playing with
duo.
him though.
How many excuses do we give him? Let's give him
Wait.
3 All-Stars,
Wait,
then he'll
whoa,
be
whoa.
good.
No
Well, of
one's
course,
giving
he
him
has 3
excuses.
All-Stars on his team.
No one's giving him excuses.
I mean, I don't think he's been that bad.
He's not the problem on that team. You can't say he's the problem.
Rex is saying he's a
I'm
problem.
not saying he's the solution.
Well, are you saying Havoc's the solution?
I'm saying Havoc, I'm giving more time. I don't think Havoc's been terrible so far from what we've seen. I think
Well,
he's shown a little
whatever
bit of
they
fire.
did in
I
the
think
change they
Neptune
made-
does some bad plays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever their change they made with Havoc and the pacing
Except for
there,
Garrison. Neptune
it
can do things like
enabled
Garrison.
Awakening and Skies to play the way they wanted to play. I mean, Skies and Awakening dominated that series. They were disgusting, both of them.
So Neptune enables them.
Well, I don't think Enable would be the right player to have.
Okay, I mean that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
There's always
Lots
some
of puns
excuse
going
for
around
him.
tonight,
Why
boys.
does Neptune? Someone else can enable them and be more consistent.
Yeah. I mean, again, Neptune still, I think, plays an important role in that team, though. I just think pairing another fast player with him could be really, really interesting. Because if anything,
Maybe I would like to see it.
Havoc
Sure.
could still be a little bit too slow for Neptune, but maybe I need to watch a little bit more and probably go back and watch that series again. But my thought process is that, at least from what we know of Slack or from Havoc, is that he's definitely more of a middle paced player, very down the middle of the road when it comes to how he plays pace wise as an SMG. And so I just always kind of felt like if you paired another really fast SMG with Neptune, you could get some pretty interesting results. But maybe Havoc's been able to keep up at a decent enough pace where it worked, and then now you're here already. So that's possible.
Yeah, Havoc's a problem, not Neptune, I guess. That's what I'm saying. Everyone gives them excuses. No one wants to ever talk about it. I'll do it.
No, it's all good. It's all good. No, but we kind of tangented there off of Chino a lot, but it is interesting. I think the 5v5 versus 4v4 and the effects that has having on teams right now is honestly a little bit more extreme than a lot of teams thought it was going to be for this game especially. And we're seeing that the nasty individual talent doesn't always work unless you really are truly playing together as a team. And especially in Search and Destroy, I think. And like Empire's had that problem. FaZe has been having that problem throughout this year with like where they rely on the nasty individual talent, which worked in 5v5. And it has been some struggles for those teams. Optic, really, like three teams who are pretty solid S&D, all three. Like last year, Optic was iffy at S&D at times, but Neptune, FaZe and Empire have been fantastic all of last year in S&D. And then we saw this year, they were two of the most struggling teams during Stage 2 in Search and Destroy. So it's like, there is still growing pains for Search and Destroy from 5v5 to 4v4. And I think a lot of teams are still trying to work through that, which is kind of the whole point of that whole tangent. But all right. Let's see. Other small things. Maux joined LAG Academy. Sib has joined Easter for Felo after Felo joined Empire. Tupac Thug Lord joined FaZe, the S&D specialist, which is really interesting. And they won their Express S&D.
They did.
Which they had been getting absolutely bodied in. Yeah. And then they ended up blowing it 5-3 in raid S&D, which was real tough. They were up 4-2 and then 5-3. And they took the L.
Tough
That's tough.
Scenes.
That's tough.
New York.
Also, some game change stuff, of course, still playing on the old patch at this point for Stage 3. And slide canceling was nerfed, of course. Crouching was nerfed. That all happened right after we recorded the podcast as well.
It's weird.
But then it's back now. Slide canceling was back.
Yeah.
The snaking's still a little bit worse.
There's some weird, like, you can pop back up from crouch really fast now. It's like,
but it's like definitely nowhere near what it was before. So it's still, I think, in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
FaZe loses after snaking was nerfed.
Uh-oh.
I knew it.
That stuff didn't go into this stage though.
No.
No.
That's
So
why
everything
it
was
was
still
comedy.
what? Yeah, okay.
It's supposed to be like a big old laugh from you there, Rex, but you
But it didn't
didn't
get nerfed for them. They still had regular snaking, unless I'm mistaken. They're still playing on the old patch. They didn't put the new patch in. So like snaking is still the snaking they were using to crush.
Exactly.
people.
That's why the joke was so funny.
Yeah. I think the only people that laughed were
Me.
you, and then I chuckled slightly after
My
Rex didn't get it.
sarcasm did not. I didn't deliver that one well at all.
Yeah, that's okay.
Anyway,
Well,
That was bad.
It's just like top two most awkward moments.
I also watched on Reddit. There was a clip of Karma and his wife back from Ghost,
Mhm.
and like she was interviewing him,
Mhm.
and it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
just pure comedy of cringe.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is some S tier quality content right here from some Holly cringe.
Yeah.
But I support that fully.
Yeah. Shout out to Holly on the
Oh yeah, the
Eavesdrop.
eavesdop.
That was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Word.
for shout outs.
Anything else there for the random pieces of news? Awakening moved. He now has fiber internet, which he did not have before. So could you imagine Awakening now having even a better connection than he did before? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Watch out.
There's that fear. But then someone said, maybe it was even Clayster said it. He's like, with the better internet means people also are going to be killing you faster too.
That was
I mean,
interesting.
Clay with always the contrarian
Oh,
takes.
Clay is phenomenal.
Well,
you
the
know?
bad internet is actually what made Awakening good.
That was the only reason why he was good. Was horrible internet.
Well,
I'll
and
say,
his
in
auto
a way, I think there is a little bit of truth to it though.
bold move.
Bold take.
Kyler Murray joined FaZe. That was cool. I just wanted to mention that because I thought that was the dopest video ever. It was like made with the NFL draft, and they like announced it on the NFL actual Twitter page for the
Yeah,
NFL.
that was crazy that they tweeted about it.
pretty cool. Pretty dope.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really cool video about like the NFL draft and like drafting Kyler Murray into FaZe or whatever. So he's now like a part owner, I think, which is cool.
So many owners of FaZe. I think there's a lot
Yes.
of owners now.
There's a lot. I
Nick
mean, they have a lot
Burks.
of investors, which makes sense. And then the signature packs are coming to COD, which without Optic again.
Surprise.
Shocker.
Optics holding out.
Optic's holding out for the money again, like last year, which again makes sense. I mean, they're still trying to prove a point and trying to win the battle of revenue sharing with certain DLC content, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But so it's just funny that Optic's apparently opting out again, which is pretty comedy. Anything else there that we might be forgetting from the news? I think I got through all of
It
that.
was kind of a slower week.
A slower news week, which is kind of refreshing after the wild news week that was last week.
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing else too wild there. I think we can probably just get right into our little breakdown and award ceremony. So without further ado, I think we can just hop right into it. Let's get it, boys. Let's go.
Trash. Garbage.
Alrighty, so there wasn't the most. I mean, again, we're not doing a full-on breakdown to the trash garbage drop. You know, it's not as relevant this week as most weeks because we're really giving awards. If anything, it should be the opposite.
To be like, not trash, not garbage.
Wow, nice. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure to see what happens. But I guess real quick, I just wanted to talk about some of the. We kind of went over most of the big talking points before we get into the midseason show.
Mhm.
The two talking points that I for sure want to talk about, because we'll talk about the rest of them in our predictions.
Yeah.
First of all, we may as well talk about New York right now.
Yeah.
Rex, I want to hear your opinion on Hydra, on New York, on this team, why it's working, how they beat FaZe, what happened. Give us the New York breakdown and why you didn't believe in them.
And tell us why this is
Dude,
the only
I
honeymoon
know.
period.
Here's the thing with my predictions too. It gets so upset because like the minute I don't give New York the credit, that's when they prove me wrong every time. And I
That's how I
love
felt about
it
LAG.
when they prove me wrong. But like, come on, like how do I keep doubting? And then they do it every single time. But anyways, Hydra, I think the hype's real. To play like that, your first series in the pro league is against FaZe, and you play like he did. That is amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
And it sucks. It's like DiamondCon was great for the team. They were still really good with DiamondCon. But Hydra, he adds that extra like special that raw skill, talent, fast pace. Like he does some crazy stuff. Like you can just look at the gameplay, you just look at him, how he moves, and you can just see it. And it's really good. Like when he's getting in fights, when you're going like 1v1 with FaZe, it's like Hydra versus somebody else, and they're getting in some sort of engagement. Usually, like FaZe is probably gonna win this because this is how they do things.
Yeah,
but I was
but
like,
the smooth movement from Hydra
they
was
seem like
nice.
they're a little fearful of Hydra. I think they're a little scared of Hydra on the map.
I don't know about scared, but definitely impressed at least.
Impressed and definitely respected Hydra.
Yeah, respect is a good word.
And I think that says a lot because Hydra, I mean, and Hydra he was doing insane things and making some great kills. There are times like the S&Ds where with Hydra were not great, but again, first series ever. It's against FaZe, team, who's an amazing S&D team. It's a new team. You really have no strats. FaZe's been around forever. So like, you know, I'll give him that benefit of the doubt. But if they get that S&D game up, which you'd have to think they will, it's going to be they're going to be a good team. Really, really good.
Yeah, it's hard not to overreact to beating FaZe the way that New York
Clay
did.
as well, though. Like Clay was putting up numbers, and
he
Clay
was.
has been doing that all year. He has the consistency to back him.
Yeah, that was what was so interesting is that Clay dominated that series, and like Arcees and Cellium were really struggling, which is like so off brand for like how that series normally would go. I mean, considering that FaZe was 13-2 in hard points in stage 2 and so dominant. And then they come in here and they lose 2 hard points to New York in that fashion as well was like just really shocking. And like even like in they played Apocalypse, which again was a little bit of a surprise. I think.
Say the Apocalypse was kind of weird.
Well, it was a New York curveball. I mean that's what I assume because Clay in the interview said that like I hope FaZe liked our map veto curveballs. So I think that was one of the curveballs they threw.
I mean, because literally stage 2, New York was 0-1 in Apocalypse. Like so like they must have practiced that like off season or during stage 2
for sure.
And just like, hey, let's just expand this map pool and then get Apocalypse, which their credit it works. So that's actually kind of cool to see. But like, yeah, no, when I saw that, Michael, that this is strange, but hey. And they're even up like 90 points. Like FaZe almost actually made like a huge comeback. But
yeah.
Regardless, New York still pulled it out. So hey, props to them for expanding their map pool in that one. So
yeah, I agree. I think it's like you go into that and you kind of assume that they're gonna play like maybe a raid control. You think they're gonna play not Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And then the Express. I mean, that was impressive that FaZe was able to win it finally after struggling so bad on it. Leading up to that series. And so that was pretty surprising. I mean, after seeing the map pool, you're like, okay, this okay. Like Sublines have a chance here because of Express, but then FaZe ends up winning it. Yeah. You're like, oh, what in the world? And and then you get to the Apocalypse and FaZe had they were down big at the beginning, but then like FaZe had full control of that game in the second half, and they had the lead going into P5, and they had rotations originally, and then Subliners basically just completely chalked P4 with like 20, almost 30 seconds left and just like 3 hit outer sandbags towards P5 and push out the back spawns. I thought was a really good call on whoever made that, probably I'd imagine Clay, made that call to decide to 3 hit outer early in that hill to try to flip spawns for P5. And that was the difference in the game for him. And
yeah, man. Yeah. Let's talk about the control as well. Like FaZe won that control.
Yeah.
But
they chalked that. New York chalked that. That was tough.
I mean, they didn't chalk it. If they won that attack round, Clay used his streaks on it. And like, I think he even said like that was not the right time to use streaks, but
that was terrible.
I don't know. Like if they could have won that attack round, then they have a defense. You're probably going to win. I
agree.
You have a good chance of winning that defense. That like, I wasn't totally opposed to it. I really wasn't totally opposed to those streaks. They didn't have the
A zone yet though, right? And they used the streaks before they had the A zone.
Yeah. No, they're like midway through both, weren't they?
Both.
And
which is always a weird strat in the first place to try to balance both, because they had guys on both hills at one point.
Yeah.
And then he called in streaks to kind of like defend the B zone, which one of the FaZe guys made a really great play, and when he heard the streaks, he just pushed out and ran. I don't know who it was, but and then one of them hit out the backside and jumped off the map.
Yeah.
And like literally ran into the zone when the streaks were coming, which I thought was like really ballsy, and that was end up being the difference.
Yeah, but if the streaks worked, I mean, they could have won that attack round. I think committing to trying to win the attack was not the worst play you could have made.
Yeah, but I think there's just you probably could have used the streaks even better.
You put all your cards on the table there.
I think that just even inside that round alone, you could have capitalized on it better.
Like,
obviously,
maybe you stack A there, and then like once you got A, you
have 2 streaks. Yeah, once you get the A zone,
you just use it on B.
You use the streaks to clear out B.
Yeah,
get numbers.
Yeah,
I think that's just a better way to use streaks.
But again, and I don't know what the tick math was though, because I was thinking about ticks, and I think FaZe had the tick advantage. I'm like, well, they need to get these ticks because if they can win this, like then they have a good chance on the defense to win. If they don't, they have the game 5 hopefully defense.
Yeah.
So that's where I was kind of thinking with it. But
what's so crazy is it feels like FaZe played horrible. But like, I mean, the counts were 250, 211 subliners, then 6-3 FaZe, and then a 3-2 FaZe. Then they lost 241, 250, and then they lose round 11.
It was close.
But like, it feels like FaZe played horrible. Like, we saw this is the worst FaZe we've ever seen. But it's like the maps went game 5. All of them were insanely close.
Yeah.
And like Celium and Arcities could not get on track in the series. And obviously that's like pretty like basic level analysis there. But
and then talk about also Asim not getting stunned when it was literally
that was so unfortunate
away from him. Like
we should talk about that
because of the wall.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
No, it wasn't even the wall. It just didn't connect.
I swear the
really?
flash like
I thought it was the wall.
No, it just didn't connect.
When he tweeted about it, like it literally landed like to his left in zig. Like not even the wall was like it was like broken. I think.
No way.
Like he saw
I just assumed that he was behind the door somehow and it didn't hit him. I didn't even go back to look at it.
Like there might have been some sort of like pixel perfect maybe obstacle there or something. I don't quite remember. Like maybe he was like
a weird looking
slightly around the corner of the wall, but his head could still see. So like it didn't like count technically.
Yeah, that was so unfortunate.
You saw the nade go down and flash, but just didn't hit him. And
then they
Asim was just looking at it
because of the intel, and then
literally like
it's
imagine
so
flashing there, calling out, okay, no one's there, and then you just
2 seconds later,
like,
obliterated.
Oh my,
that's unfortunate. But yeah, no, I mean like
that's tough.
Yeah, like FaZe, they probably weren't playing their best, but man, props to subliners. I mean, that was a great showing from them. So
for sure, after the bounce back,
especially pulling out I'm still impressed with Apocalypse hardpoint choice there, which is really cool. So, you got to play to win, and sometimes it means bringing out some weird strats.
I mean, that must have felt good after getting 3-0'd in the major, then 3-0'd in the or twice in the major, 3-0'd by Empire, then 3-0'd by LAT.
Yeah.
To then come out here and beat FaZe. I mean, that had to have felt really good. You saw the passion from Clay in that series for sure. He was hyped.
Ice in his veins,
hyped.
dude.
Yeah.
That was cool.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, moving forward, thoughts on this New York team? Are they a locked and loaded top 4 team right now in your head?
Yes.
Because I mean, like the debate would be, Minnesota, Dallas, LAT, Florida. Like they got to be above those teams right now, right?
We're halfway through the league, and they've been a top 4 team like this whole time practically.
Yeah, except for those last 2 matches.
Well, yes,
so you can't say like how can you say that we're halfway through the whole league now, and you're gonna be like they're not top 4? Like they've been top 4 this whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, again, my thought is that this is probably going to work in the long term. I mean, it feels, I was talking about this in the breakdown video, but it feels a lot like the same situation with the Rocker where you're literally unlocking. I mean, Mac, I went back to look at the stats this year, and like he's so much better with the AR in hand than he is with the SMG statistically this season in control and hardpoint. And so it's like you move him to a full-time AR role now, and you bring in Hydra, who's obviously better than him on the SMG. So you're upgrade, and like, and DiamondCon was inconsistent. So it's like you're bringing in a guy who I think has more slaying upside in Mac now as a flex.
Was Diamond inconsistent? I don't think Diamond was inconsistent. He just wasn't pulling big numbers. Maybe not as fast.
I don't know, man. He had some maps where he was nasty, and then there were some maps where he got absolutely destroyed. I felt like he was a little inconsistent.
I felt like he was a pretty consistent player in my mind.
That's fair.
But I just feel like it just
he
wasn't
doesn't have
enough.
that high of a ceiling. Yeah, I'm like you compare Hydra.
But would you rather have DiamondCon in the lineup than Mac right now?
No.
Exactly. Same.
I don't know.
Would you rather have DiamondCon than Mac?
I don't know. To me, they're very similar skill set.
I'd always prefer what I perceive as the faster paced flex, especially in a game like this right now. So
That's probably true. Yeah.
I'd always just prefer to have a guy like Mac, especially.
Well, the raw power and just the movement of Mac, Asim, and Hydra is pretty nutty. That you can look at a guy's movement and you
That's
can
what
tell
I'm
if he's
saying.
good or not.
It
Let's
helps
be honest.
you. It helps you go toe to toe. Like I think having Mac as a flex is better. Like is more comparable to FaZe unless you go toe to toe with those guys. Like where DiamondCon, I just don't see the slaying upside for him versus Mac.
Yeah.
Even though I do think DiamondCon had a really good understanding of the game, and I actually think DiamondCon's a really good player and could be a really good main AR for a team.
I do too.
I think it'd be worth teams looking at DiamondCon to try to bring him in as a potential main AR option.
It's just crazy that the players that are on the bench right now.
Oh, it's nuts. It's ridiculous.
We need expansion teams.
We desperately need expansion teams. And so if we don't get them this year, like that would be a travesty for people.
Seriously.
At this point, it's looking like it'll happen, but we'll see. Okay, so the other piece of news here, or the other conversation I really wanted to have before we got into the midseason award show was the Seattle, where's the state of the union for the Seattle Surge right now. It's not an ideal situation, to say the least. Oh,
excuse you.
Wow, it was like a sneeze cough.
That was weird.
Anyway, for the Surge, it's like after stage 2, there was a lot of positivity coming from the Surge. I mean, you're like, all right, they lost to Optic twice, which I mean, it's Optic, but they had beat the Mutineers, they had beat the Legion. They got unfortunately reverse swept by the Rocker in that really unfortunate accuracy 1v3 on Miami, and there's just a lot of unfortunate things that happened, but they were really competitive, and so it's like, okay, maybe the Surge are here. But now you look back at it and you're like, okay, they lost to Optic 3 times. They got reverse swept by Rocker, and then they get reverse swept by the Thieves too in, this weekend. And you're like, oh, I mean, it had all the makings of a reverse sweep with the maps that were coming up with Raid, Checkmate, Raid. I mean, that's just LAT. That's LAT salivating right there. Like, Raid, Checkmate, Raid. And, it's just tough, man. So thoughts on the Surge right now? They're in a really, really unfortunate spot where it's just like, it doesn't feel like they have the upside to be a top 5 team right now, right?
It's weird though.
They gotta get better at control, man.
Am I the only person that I don't know, looking at their Optic map, 250, 240, they lost.
Oh, yeah. Well, they climbed themselves back into that game. Because at the beginning it was like, oh, wow, Optic's going to blow them the F out.
Yeah.
And then they climbed back in. They had the lead for a second.
Yeah. 6-4 S&D, take what it is. 3-1
and they had chances in that game.
Yeah. So what's frustrating looking and watching Seattle is that they do have these moments where these guys are clicking. These guys are going to do it.
Generally, it's gunless, though.
It's gunless.
Generally, it's gunless.
Yeah. So
unless you're playing Apocalypse and it's pristine.
Yeah. So, looking at the Reddit, it's hard not to say there's a lot of people that think Looney should be dropped
or benched.
So I think that core 3 Octane, Pristini, Gunless, I think there are some high hopes for those players. I don't think Seattle's shocked. I don't. But maybe you get someone else in for Looney, such as...
I usually need to try a higher upside option Slayer. Yeah. Could you imagine if Hydra was on that team?
Yeah. You get John on there.
If that was Hydra who came in, or if it was Standy who came in, they need to find that guy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the Surge, why they are able to, I don't know, do what they do, I guess. I feel like Looney is sort of like a catalyst on that team, though, just for the chemistry aspect of things.
No, I agree. He's a uniter. I mean, he has got a great personality for competing. He understands the game. He has a great approach to the game. He has a good mind for the game.
And without him, if they lose him, what happens to everybody else? That would be my concern. Looney, it feels like, is the leader of that team, but he's the one who, does the least amount of stats as well.
I know it's a tough situation. It's like, I don't know. It's an incredibly tough situation because if you drop Looney, now it's like, at least in my head, it's like Looney helps anchor Gunless like mentally. Like it's like he's a good anchor for Gunless. Yeah. Maybe that's a narrative just because of how Gunless talked about Looney on the eavesdrop and has tweeted about Looney in the past. But like, I don't know. At least that's what it comes off as when you listen to their comms in game. Looney is the guy, the most vocal player by far, and that matters. It's like you'd have to bring in a guy who has that confidence, and that's not easy to find unless it's a guy like John.
Yeah,
I mean, John, at least in my head, is the guy that comes to mind. Is like, I think you have to try him.
I feel like he fits so well in that team. Just from, again, he can take Looney's role of like how he's playing and
like a vocal aspect too.
And a vocal aspect too. So it's like,
you think so?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
IGLing like that? I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's not like
you wouldn't even need to like have him be the IGL. Like you've got Gunless and Octane for that for sure.
But I think Looney's the person really doing it though.
Well, it's like it's more about how chatty your guy is. Like, Gunless is always in his monotone, like he's weak back two, P2, P3, back rotation. Yep, bricks, weak, one shot. Like he's always down. Like that. He's never. That is his tone. Yeah. If he's hyped, that's how he's talking. Yeah. If he's not, that's how he's talking.
Absolutely.
So it's like, and Looney gets hyped, and so you need to bring that emotional support in there, and maybe that's where John, like, can he do that? John's not usually like the get hyped type, right? Yeah. So it is a little bit of tough conversation there. They're not in a great spot because it's like I don't really love any hard. Option.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think the solution is, Rex? What's your thought?
I mean, honestly, I would commit to this roster of 4.
Really?
And I mean,
they're one of
Looney
3 teams who hasn't made a roster change.
Looney just has to get better.
FaZe and Optic as
and
the 3 teams who have not changed.
Looney is a big part of your chemistry. Like I feel like he's really a really big part of that team chemistry. I think you really just have to try and make it work, and you like help him get better where he's falling off.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had just so many conflicting feelings about Pristini as a player because, like, at moments I love how he plays. I love it, and then there's times where you're just like, "What was that?" Like there was a moment on that Moscow S&D where I think Pristini got first blood, and I was like, "What?"
What was
like
the point of that
it was
play?
like he didn't even look both ways before he crossed the street. It was just like a whoop.
No one's there to trade or anything. It's just like
no trade came through, and then the round was chalked, and I'm like, "What?" It's like, and like those are things that I feel like if you're playing with Looney or Gunless or Octane, like those things probably shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
guys who are pretty fundamental players, especially Looney.
I mean, we're roasting Pristini, but I feel like Pristini is making less mistakes now than he ever has.
I agree, and like in response, he's been pretty solid, especially recently.
Yeah. So I
there's just like those times though where it's like, okay, we're still seeing that happen, but no, you are right. It's been way better than previous titles for sure.
And I think if this team depends what you want, could you get more, maybe a few more early wins out of it if you pick up like a new player for Looney? Yeah. Are you going to win champs though? I don't think so. If you keep Looney, I feel like there is, oddly enough, I feel like there's a potential to go far in champs, and maybe you could do what EG did in World War II, kind of, and eke something out in that way. But based off like, knowledge of the game and just the whole overarching how things should be working, I guess. I mean, I think if there's a team that's going to win champs, I see it as this core 4. I don't see it as somebody being replaced.
But lately, we've been seeing the Gunless, like the nasty Gunless. He's been showing up more often lately. He's been really, really good. And like again, this team, if they're not playing, they're just so bad at control. It's just insane. Yeah. And like, how are you so bad at control at this point still? It doesn't make any sense. Like,
dude, that's the part that's real, dude. Like,
and they keep playing Raid. They're 0-7
like they've just
on
given
Raid.
up on control. It's like they've given up on control. Like they're just like, we're probably just going to lose it. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like they like that has to improve. Like they get reverse swept because they're going to lose control every single time, and then their mental is shot. and then boom, and then it's over.
Right. And the big problem for them right now is that like they're 0-7 on Raid and 0-2 on Checkmate. They're 3-3 on Garrison. So it's like and most teams don't like playing Garrison. So it's like they're gonna just veto Garrison, and then you're gonna have to play Checkmate or Raid.
Yeah.
And they get bomb blasted too. Like in Control. Like it's not even like they're getting close games. Like they're just getting rocked.
Which is weird. Yeah.
It's like they'll like win. Oh, they win the hard point. Great series, man. They play really well. S&D. Ah, man, they're such smart teams. So technical. Control. I don't know. I guess they don't. I guess they're fish out of water here. And then it's just like all of a sudden, I feel like all that belief in themselves that they built up is just shattered instantly once they play the Control. And then it's like, of course, the reverse sweep's gonna be more common then. It's like you just got bomb blasted in your third map. You have to regain, but like, hopefully you could have made it close so you don't have to regain that much.
Yeah, here's their controls in Season 2. They get 3-0'd by Mutineers on Checkmate. Then they beat the Empire on Garrison. And this is what everyone was like, oh, this is the revival of the Surge. This is it. This is the moment. And then they 3-0'd the Legion on Garrison. And you're like, this is the moment. Yeah. Like, the Surge are back. Control, baby.
Here we go.
But the problem is, it was on Garrison. And then teams are like, okay, let's just not play Garrison. And then Optic 3-0'd them on Raid. Then the Surge 3-1 them on Raid. Then they play Control Garrison and they beat the Mutineers. Yes. Yes. And then teams are like, maybe we shouldn't play Garrison against them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's play Raid. Optic 3-1 them. Then Thieves 3-0'd them on Raid. Then Optic 3-1 them on Raid on Checkmate. So they haven't even gone 3-2 on Checkmate or Raid. They haven't even gone 3-2.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Like that means they're like
they're losing their defense.
They're losing their defenses.
Yeah. It's like, oof.
That's tough.
That's rough.
So it's like at this point, teams are just going to keep vetoing Checkmate or Garrison, and then just body bag them on Raid and Checkmate over and over.
Yeah, they've got to expand that. That's for sure.
But it's
at
like,
least be competitive. At least get better to where like it's not like it's not so hard to take. It's not like that you feel like you just are trash. It's like at least we were close. Like, you know,
right. The thing about Garrison or about Control is that it rewards the finesse players. It rewards the guys who just like, they get a kill, they run to a corner, they find another kill, they change to the next corner, they find one more kill, and then they die. Like it rewards that type of finesse, you know? And it's just like right now, Looney and Pristini, just that's not how they like to play. Neither of them are like the finesse player. And they're really missing that right now from an SMG perspective. And it's just not coming through, especially like on Raid or, you know, on Checkmate, where how often do you see like Envoy again, like Envoy, they played Optic 3 of their last 5 matches. Envoy is always finessing them on these controls. Like last game, you know, he plays the top of the plane. He's playing patiently top plane in that last round. He jumps down, finds a 3-piece, boom, game's over. Like the timings are just a big problem for them in Control right now. And I'm just not convinced that Looney or Pristini can be that guy for them in Control. And if they're not winning Controls, it's going to be hard to win series. And so that's why I feel like they need to make a change at this point. Even though I really do like Looney, I think Looney could be the fourth player on a good team and win a lot of matches. But you need to have 3 very good players around him. And Pristini is at a point where it's like he's not like the all-around well-rounded player, like what you need to have around him right now to be great. So
it's tough.
It's tough. It's not an ideal situation. Like they're 3-12 overall in Control right now. And like you look at the teams who are best in Control on the season, FaZe, Optic, Rocker, Empire, like those are the finesse teams. Those are the finesse teams. And Rocker, since they brought in Standy specifically, but it's wild. So, okay. I guess that can kind of work out. Our conversations there. Again, we'll talk about all the other teams here at this point. So let's get into our little award ceremony, mid-year ceremony. So how we're going to do this is we're going to kind of like look backwards first and give awards at this point. We're basically halfway through the regular season at this point.
Crazy.
Obviously, if we're counting champs, it'd be like technically like 2 or 3 weeks from now would be like the middle of the season technically. But we're going to go mid-season awards here. So we're going to do Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player so far, Biggest Player Surprise, Biggest Team Surprise, and MVP. for the first half of the year, and then we're going to do a little prediction for the second half of the year. So, who is your rookie of the year so far? It's Insight, right?
Insight.
I think it's Insight.
It's Insight. That's a pretty straightforward, unanimous decision there.
I mean,
who would be 2? Standy?
Yeah. Standy, I guess.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty unanimous decision there. It'll be more spicy when we're predicting rookie of the year, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. So, who's the most improved player so far this year? Who's the guy that you just feel like, man, he's really stepped it up, and you're loving what you're seeing from this guy? Is there a guy that comes to mind?
Clay.
Oh, really? Most improved?
Asim.
So okay, Asim was in my my top 2 or top 3 for most improved. I mean,
that dude went.
Asim's
180
realistically,
degree turn.
Bance would have to be there. I think I would say Bance would be mine.
Bance, like as of recent, holy cow!
As of recent, Bance
absolutely destroyed.
Yeah,
Asim, like from the beginning of the game, like because it's
right.
It's almost like you like go from last year.
I'm going
this year?
from Modern Warfare to this year, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's how I'm seeing it.
Oh, for sure, same. And I mean, I think in that sense, I mean, Bance is
Bance for sure.
Probably still Bance.
Probably still Bance.
Yeah. Most certainly.
Bance. I think I like Bance. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Aqua as well.
You can kind of say, in a way, Dashy. He was benched last year.
That's fair.
Kind of
been nasty this year.
Yeah, but
that's more like, did he try last year?
Yeah, that's more of like what was his actual?
Yeah, what was his attitude last year? Was the biggest issue.
But yeah, no, for sure, Bance.
Okay, so I'll say Bance was yours.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to say Asim, like just from like how down I was on him last year.
The second half of last year was tough.
Just like he wasn't doing anything, and then all of a sudden it's like this dude's like putting up some serious numbers now.
He really is. Really proved himself, and he wasn't even supposed to be on the original roster.
Nope.
He was picked up because Hydra couldn't be there.
It is probably the coolest story of the whole year.
Yeah. So
and Asim, I feel, is a big part of the team.
Yeah,
for sure.
Huge part of the team.
He's become a fan favorite this year, which is cool to see.
Good job, Asim, man.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
So,
the what?
What
is that?
What?
You wouldn't get it.
What did I just witness?
I don't know. I'm so confused. Okay, let's do the biggest team surprise next. Which team are you just happy to see, man? Which team? I guess this could be a negative award too, if you'd like.
I was gonna say, I thought this could be negative too.
Rex, fire away. Who's the biggest surprise team so far?
Surprise team?
Yeah. All right, Sam, what's yours?
Yeah, go somewhere else.
Sam, do you got one?
So I'm kind of looking through because I feel like there's like a couple here I can talk about.
Okay.
And you know what's like really interesting? It's like I almost want to say Dallas, even though again they
second and
they
third,
were second and third, but
like where would you power rank them right now?
That's the thing is like
I put them at 8 in my power rankings.
Did
today.
you really?
I mean, like Florida.
Eshua.
Would you rather have Florida or Dallas right now?
That's 8, bro.
Wait, Florida.
I mean, I get they're not playing great, and
Florida
they benched
Hoop right now.
but I don't think like they
Florida
played Toronto, bro.
Right now,
they played Toronto.
Florida
or Dallas?
I think I'd probably pick Dallas.
I mean, Florida just beat Rocker. Is that kind of a? I don't know. I picked Dallas still.
Really?
Yeah,
I picked Florida.
Really? Just because they're winning versus Rocker?
I mean, yeah. But would you pick Rocker over Dallas? Because I definitely would.
But 8?
I would put Rocker over Dallas.
LAT over Dallas? They've won 5 of their last 6 matches.
Nah, that LAT over Dallas. I don't think so.
For some reason, I still don't want to give LA Thieves credit, even though they've like consistently shown with Draza they're like good.
They've been nice.
It's just weird.
Or 4? What are they? 4 of their last 6? I can't remember. It's a pretty good number though.
I mean, it's kind of a hot take for sure by you, but like I can see the narrative there. It's like they're kind of down bad right now, even though again top 3 both. I'm going to repeat that 10 times. It's just crazy to me to like that they're. I don't know.
8th.
I don't know, bro. I'd rather have. I mean, like I said, I made go watch the video. I made an argument for Florida above them. I made an argument for LAT above them and Rocker above them, and then obviously the top 4, of course, above them right now. So it's like you can slip down to 8 pretty quick. I mean, there's 8 legit competitive teams. I said also in the video that all 8 of these teams could potentially win stage 3.
Yeah, I actually agree with your tweet too.
Like, yeah, it's nuts.
Where like 8 was only like 7%. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, people think there's only like 4. No, I think there's 8 competitive teams.
Because I mean, we just saw Toronto rise from the ashes to win stage 2. Like at this point, it's like way less unlikely that Florida could win stage 3 than it was for Toronto to win stage 2 at this point in stage 2.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Anyway, that's an
Here's the thing with Toronto though. Toronto's riding their high now, which they could be riding that high too early in the season, where at some point, you have to imagine this is going to start waning. Like they're going to lose.
Florida effect of last season.
Too many more games to be played that they're going to lose, and then that's going to be a mental shot, like maybe we're seeing with FaZe right now.
I mean, that's what happened to Florida last year. Florida won 2 tournaments in the middle of the year, and then like they couldn't get back over that hump.
Yeah, so we might be saying, the way teams, function and how they play kind of goes in waves, and it's almost a timing thing with it too. And Toronto might have hit their peak early. Is this Toronto's peak?
I mean, it's hard to say it's not. Like
if this is their peak, you have to imagine we're halfway through. People will plan for that and beat that.
Will probably figure out some things that they're trying to do. I mean, that's what you'd have to imagine. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. Why I didn't put Toronto at number 1 in my power rankings, because I'm like, I trust the superstar teams like Optic and FaZe to, if they're playing against them tomorrow, that they're gonna do their homework and come out firing all cylinders. But
how could you not overreact? How could you not overreact to Toronto winning?
I mean,
and then they beat Dallas 3-0. Like,
for sure.
Toronto looks
and they look good there.
Really good.
I mean, putting them at 3, I feel like isn't some like, I mean, apparently it's a hot take based off the public's opinion, but anyway,
I think they're peaking though.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay, so biggest, I guess most improved could be very similar to the biggest player surprise, but this could be also a negative situation as well.
Could be.
Is Illy the one to list here?
He would be definitely in like a top 3 of biggest player surprises.
Biggest surprises.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I would also list Aqua, I think, in this one as well, where I was like very down on Aqua heading into this year, and he's been very good this year. Probably same with Classic as a big surprise. I kind of give up all hope on Classic heading into this year, and he's been very good and completely proved me wrong on that one. So, those were 3 for me. Rex, which one? Who do you want to crown your most surprising player?
Most surprising? I mean, I'm still kind of sitting with Asim on this one.
Well, that's a cop-out answer.
Okay, I'll try and think of something else. I mean, Prestini, I also had an argument Prestini being most improved. I think he is playing better than we have seen him in a long time.
I agree. I mean, again, and I definitely agree with that sentiment.
Prestini could be a surprise player. Like, he kind of is a bit of a slayer for that squad, and he does a decent job at it.
That's fair. Wait, who's your official one, Sam?
Illy.
Unfortunate.
Very depressing.
I also could say Kleenex just because like I liked Kleenex a lot, but like for him to kind of like explode onto the scene in this sense and like how good he's been the past 2 weeks. Again, that is the thing though, is that like we have seen Toronto be good for about 11 days now.
Yeah.
We knew Kleenex was going to be good when he played in that Warzone tournament back in Modern Warfare.
I mean, it was
before
crazy.
Before he was picked up on a squad.
He had that full squad wipe, and you're like, holy frick.
You could just look, I mean, I'm sure there's VODs, and we talked about it, and like, before he was picked up, and it was like, that guy looks nasty.
And again, I mean, that dates back to last in BO4, where you're like, I mean, again, I ref Singularity a handful of times. I'm like, dude, Kleenex is crazy. Well, and then he had that clip on Arsenal where he had like the 12 or 13 streak. And you're like, okay, there's some upside for this guy. You know?
Yeah. And then when they played LG and Formal was like, this dude is
crazy.
This dude's crazy.
So it dates back for a while now. But yeah, like in Modern Warfare, before he got picked up, and you're like, oh, he's doing that around the map. Woo. It was crazy. I mean, it was mind blowing that it took that long for Kleenex to end up in the starting lineup in the first place.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's weird.
Especially they made other changes first before he got brought in last year, which was crazy.
Yeah. He was kind of a person nobody was talking about even putting in.
Yeah, it's wild.
And then they played the Warzone tournament, and it seemed like pretty soon after that they put him in, and it was like an instant change.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. Alrighty. Who's the MVP so far? Who is the MVP so far? This is an interesting one. So obviously, FaZe wins stage 1. We have Toronto winning stage 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got to be from one of those two teams, I'd imagine.
You would think so.
Clayster.
I mean, you could. I think you could make an argument for Clay. It'd be interesting.
I honestly do think you could, but everyone roasts me for being a NYSL
Homer.
fanboy or whatever. But man, you
Total
can't even
fanboy.
deny it. Clay's been insane this year. He's been great for the team, and here's the thing: he's a great in-game leader, great out-of-game leader, building the whole chemistry, and then he's been a baller on the map when he's playing. We haven't seen Clay this good in a really long time in game. So he's providing he's the full package. Let's be honest.
He's got a big old package.
I agree with that on both ends. The big package.
Both ends.
Yeah, I was more like, I know
what you meant. Trust me, I know what you meant.
Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So okay, so are you going with Clay?
No, MVP.
Yeah, who's your MVP? I'm saying Simp. It's Simp.
It's hard not to
Dude,
say Simp.
Simp is so boring now. Let's not say Simp again.
Oh my word, that's a LeBron James argument.
Why do we
It's
even
like-
have the MVP thing if we're just going to say Simp every single time?
We should just call it the Simp Award.
I know. It's
It
just,
really is. We're simping for Simp.
here's
Yeah.
the thing, though. Here's the thing.
It's
I know-
true. Like, he's great, obviously.
I know it's boring,
But come on,
It's just
the truth.
It's hard to deny.
They're
at this
14
point.
and 3.
Yeah.
Like at this point in the season, they're 14 and 3. They've lost 3 matches, and 2 of them are, and like obviously 3 of them were in their last 7, 6. So like it has been a little bit worse for them lately, but like they
Overall.
have won a stage. They won a stage. They got that chip box checked. So are you gonna argue Kleenex or Bance over them?
No. But I mean, you're
See,
right.
see, that's the
It's
thing.
probably Simp. Simp makes great in-game plays. He's crazy smart. He's like the only player who doesn't shoot people and actually waits, it feels like. And so he makes some big brain plays that I don't know if everybody recognizes how big of brain they are. That nobody else
definitely
makes. He's sitting there staring. I think was it Mac? And literally waits for his team to spawn, kills Mac, takes over green. He makes he's just a big brain player.
Yeah.
Nobody else makes this play.
If you had to give your top 5,
he has
let's
balls.
quickly, can we give a quick top 5 at mid-season
Sure.
MVP? I would go Simp 1, Abizi 2,
Yep. Silly
Clay 3. Clay 3. I actually agree with this, that Clay probably is the 3rd most valuable player right now.
Yeah.
And then it gets real spicy after that because you're like,
Sure does.
at that point, I put a Toronto player. I'd probably put Insight, honestly. Just because of the value that, since you
He
don't
brought.
have, because since he's joined, I mean, it's been nuts.
Yeah.
So I would just say, since Insight's joined, they've been insane. So Insight 4. And then 5, you could look at a Sim. You could look at Celium. You could look at Dashy, Huke.
I like a Sim.
Huke. You could maybe you could make an argument for Standy, but I mean not recently.
Yeah.
Awakening.
Oh, I like that. Yes, Awakening.
Awakening is nasty.
Awakening
nasty,
5.
bro.
I'll go with that.
Awakening is still to be unleashed. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's wild.
If a team picks him, somebody else picks him up with more chemistry going on. Oh my goodness.
If LA Thieves keep being good, would you consider Kenny?
I mean,
switching that role or job.
well, I mean, it depends what you mean by continue to be good. Because I mean, they've been obviously they've been winning, but they've been beating subpar teams at this point.
Yeah. If they continue upward.
I mean, let's say in their group of death that they end up
Yeah.
actually being legit.
Yeah. Or
I
is
mean,
it
they're in the
Terrazzo?
group of death. They have Optic. They still have to play Optic, New York, and FaZe.
Mhm.
They're 2-0 right now,
No,
beating
yeah.
London and Seattle.
Yeah.
So it's like if they win 2 of those 3,
Mhm.
then at
No,
that point you're
yeah.
like, okay, maybe LA Thieves is like that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Group B right now is Optic, LA Thieves, Subliners, FaZe, Seattle, and London. That's
Insane.
That's insane. Poor
Really
London
is.
and Seattle.
Yeah. London's
They're just
getting
bodied.
0-5.
Yikes.
Jeez.
It's gonna be wild. Okay, where were we? What were we even talking about?
I think we're doing top 5 MVPs.
Oh yeah, well, I think we got a pretty good combo there.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Okay,
No.
so now let's do a little
Next.
bit. Let's look forward. Okay, we'll do a quick little look forward. Where are we at, by the way, podcast wise?
We're pretty much an hour and 10 in.
Oh, significant.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
A surprise.
All right, we can go a little bit quicker through the midseason
Yeah.
predictions real quick. Okay, so rookie of the year predictions, end of the year rookie year predictions now at this
Mhm.
point with everything we know so far. Looking forward, Rex, are you gonna say Hydra?
Well, wait, hold on. So end of year, rookie of the year? Yeah.
Looking
Hydra.
forward.
Oh man, that is
Shady's
spicy.
an NYSL fanboy. Yeah,
You-
I
you
don't
heard-
care.
heard
Hydra,
it here-
rookie of the year.
You heard it here first.
Look at his, like, the way he played
Neptune.
against FaZe, dude. He went like 30.
Whoa! He just said Neptune.
Florida's going to win champs, and it's going to be Neptune. Big brain plays.
Wow. Really?
Dude,
No shot.
no, total shot. I am such a huge believer in Neptune, and I was fuming a little bit when you were doubting him, Rex.
Hey, man, Halo's gotten some good players. Chauncey, Formal. Neptune is.
I don't know. We'll see. That's bold.
It's there. I think Neptune. I think
bold
Neptune
take.
took a year in challengers. Maybe it would be there.
Sam, you know we're doing predictions, not bold predictions, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a bold one. That's a spicy one.
You can feel the fire under Florida, and they're gonna continue to go
Hydra-
upward.
I mean, that's
Hydra.
a at this point I still see that as a bold prediction because it's like we're one match in.
But it was against FaZe, and
it
he
was
went
against FaZe, and he looked
31
good.
and like 20 or something.
It's hard not to hop on that bandwagon.
LAG beat FaZe too.
But Insight has quite the head start at this point. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
he
for-
does.
for Florida, they'd have to win champs, but I'm not even. I mean, like Neptune would have to be good.
yeah,
And that would be that's hard to see.
my prediction entails that they replace Havoc again with someone else, and then that unlocks
that unleashes
Neptune's ability.
Okay,
Listen,
all right.
listen,
I mean, again, we see it now. We see it now with.
it's kind of bold. It is kind of bold.
That's
but I'm gonna go with it.
I'll go with Standy. I'll go the basic route there and go Standy.
Total basic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I said Standy. I meant to say
Yeah,
Insight.
what in the world, bro?
I meant to say Insight. I was
Yeah.
trying to say Insight.
I'm not totally against Insight on that, but I kind of feel like Toronto's peaking. I don't think Toronto is going to be this Toronto when we get to champs.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's
They'll
fair.
be. I think
Yeah.
they'll be upper middle of the pack, middle of
Okay.
the pack.
Who will be the most improved player from here on out? I mean, based on
For
your
me,
prediction,
it'd
it has to be Neptune.
For me, it's Neptune.
Yeah, that's fair. Who's your prediction? Who's a guy you want to plant your flag on? Who will be the most improved player from here on out? I think that's a pretty fun
It is.
debate. Rex, does one come to mind for you?
Is it weird that I'm thinking of Shotzi?
I mean,
No.
that makes sense.
It makes sense.
I
Kind of a
see
gimmicky
Shotzi. I
answer.
kind of feel like Shotzi getting better at S&D. Like there's definitely things you can see Shotzi needs to work on, and he makes some mental mistakes. I feel like he's got the finesse king, but I could see him improving a lot if he can by the end of the year nailing down just like the mental, like the smarts of it.
Do you think Ilya just stays the same all year?
Is this if Huke's back in the lineup?
I don't know.
That's what's tough, is that
Yeah.
there's so many variables right now with
I don't
Dallas.
know.
I mean, Shotzi's one where we've already been seeing it. Like, there's been
Yes.
the glimpses of it the past like
Yeah.
2 or 3 matches for Shotzi. We were like, all right, he's
Yeah.
coming around. It is interesting. It's definitely not an easy question. Because we've already kind of seen the improvement from. I mean, this past week we've seen massive improvement from a lot of guys.
Yep.
So it is a kind of a tough conversation or a tough debate. I have an interesting prediction for one who will be the most surprising player from here on out, and I'm excited to say it.
Oh man.
I'll save it and I won't say it here. Let's say, man, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for this one. I'll go with
Looney.
Octane. I'll go with Octane. I think we're going to start seeing a more consistent Octane from here on out.
Yeah.
And I think we've already been seeing that the past about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not as much like a bold take or anything, but all right, I like that one. Okay, so that's the most improved player prediction. So who do you think is going to be the biggest team surprise from here on out? I mean, Sam's kicked this one off hot with Mutineers.
It's kind of boring for me because it's all like, well, it's gonna be
you get your answer off the rip.
I know. So
Mutineers, huh?
Mutineers, huh? But yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would say that I do think I think they're going to make a roster change at some point and it'll help them, but I don't know if it's going to be like the most improved aspect. The problem is that we just saw basically 5 teams have massive improvement in the past 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to answer, but Florida, I would say Florida as well. I mean, based off what we've seen so far, I think Florida's a team that's guaranteed to be better than they were 2 weeks ago. Yeah. They're guaranteed.
I agree. I'm with that.
So is that the biggest surprise? Surprise is, in a good way.
LAG, then if we're going surprise, LAG.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's hard to buy into LAG at this point, rest of the season, but maybe that's why that's the good pick.
We'll see how they do if they're not playing Paris,
MVP prediction for the rest of the season.
Jeez.
I mean,
Awakening.
I think Simp's going to be the MVP this year. I think it's inevitable at this point. If New York wins 2 home series but then doesn't win champs, but they win 2 home series, then I think Clay probably is still the MVP.
Yeah.
But it's just so easy to go with Simp at this point because it's like, come on. You know what you're getting from Simp.
Yeah. True.
Rex, prediction for MVP?
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth, Clay. But it could end up, because Simp does, Simp's brilliant. Like, he's honestly just a COD genius, and I really had nothing really much negative to say about him. He makes just astounding plays, big brain plays consistently all the time, every series. I mean, the MVP will come down to which team is more successful from here on out. Probably. And it'll probably, a lot of it will rely on some sort of the last. I think the MVP situation, because last year it was announced before champs, right? It was the regular season MVP, right?
I think that. And then
they were announcing it because like Envoy and Skies and Shotzi were all announced.
And then they had did they have the champs MVP then too? Like, or was it just one MVP?
I think it was just because Krim was the champs. The champs grand finals MVP. I think is what it was. If New York wins 1 homestand or 1 major from here on out, so then FaZe and New York both have 1 major win after the regular season. Who wins the MVP? Simp or would Simp win? Would Simp be favored or would Clay? This is quick answer here. Quick answer.
Simp.
Rex, stick with Clay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right, quick champs. Way too early champs matchup prediction. Sam, go.
Champs matchup, like the grand finals.
Your grand finals prediction.
Okay, Florida v FaZe.
That's wild. All right, Rex, grand final prediction.
New York v FaZe.
FaZe Optic. I actually think it's going to happen this year.
That'd be so cool.
It's on LAN, remember?
That'd be dope.
FaZe Optic. That'd be wild. Could you imagine FaZe Optic on LAN? Oh. Wow. Maybe that's
more.
Man,
that's the whole LAN conversation.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Because that would be the hype would be real, and I'm just rooting for COD Esports at that point.
And the LAN conversation makes my brain start twisting in different directions, and
it's gonna be wild.
Makes me question everything. Things could completely change once you get to LAN.
100%. So now that we're only 10 minutes into this podcast, we should probably do our predictions. Without further ado, let's get into the predictions. Let's go. Alrighty, so this is going to get interesting. I mean, there's a lot to go through here with the matchups this week and what this could look like. So, with that said, Sam, lead us away. What's our first match this week?
New York versus London, 3-0, New York.
All right, that's fair. Rex?
I'm on board. Choo-choo, subliners
Why
train.
Is that the case? You believe?
Yeah, here's the thing. Usually, we've been seeing a honeymoon period with people that have been, changed rosters. I haven't seen much from Zap yet.
I mean, it was a tough situation for them. They had to play Optic and LA Thieves.
Oh, no, absolutely it was, yeah. But with the hype of New York, and I think their honeymoon period with Hydra is going to be lasting longer. I don't know. I just believe in New
Good
York.
stamina.
Obviously, I just believe in New York way more than London. London is just kind of down bad right
that's
now.
fair. I think it's. I'm gonna go New York 3-1.
Okay.
Contrarian.
Just because.
Contrarian.
Valid.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, I just assume a little bit more improvement here from London, and you have a little bit more film on them now.
I would love to see an improved London.
Yeah, but I don't have much faith in that. I mean, I can't imagine what the betting odds on that series will be for New York to lose.
Yeah.
It'd be like, good luck.
Absolutely.
All right, ATL versus LA Thieves. This is interesting. It's kind of a
fun
little bit
matchup.
of a test about what you believe about LA Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're finally getting tested. So, Rex, what are your thoughts?
I think in Atlanta 3-0, I think Atlanta is the smarter team this year, and they also got some gunners. And I think LA Thieves is pretty much straight guns.
It's
a little bit
always
of knowledge
scary.
here and there, but they got a lot behind them. When
It's always scary when
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just cut you off, but it's
Go
always
ahead.
scary when Atlanta needs to win a series because this is a must-win match.
How crazy is it that in stage 3 they're 0-2 in hardpoint?
After being 13-2
That's
in hardpoint in
insane.
stage 2.
Yeah. I think this will be 3-1 Atlanta. I think it's very easily possible that Thieves take a map, but
See, this is what's interesting is Atlanta hates playing checkmate and ATL loves playing checkmate. So I think all of ATL is going to ban all 3 checkmates.
Yeah.
So you might see Apocalypse here again.
Mhm.
You might see Express again. I think ATL wins at 3-1. They win the Apocalypse this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So all right. LAG versus Toronto. We're gonna have to speed through. We're speeding through these a little bit faster, everyone out there. But this week, considering y'all got blessed with like an hour, 20+ minute conversation before. All right, jeez. All right, LAG versus Toronto.
Mhm.
I'm going Toronto 3-1 on this one.
I
I
think
think
LAG does take those weird maps.
LAG takes those weird maps. LAG, they have a certain sense of like game planning. I think they'll hit them with some sort of
this year.
surprise. I can't say what it's going to be. Maybe an S&D.
I mean, the problem is here is that Ultra's been so good at S&D, and that's the only thing that LAG's really been good at.
Yeah.
So it's like
Right.
hard to see them. Again, every time I pick against LAG, they win. Every time I pick LAG, they lose. So me picking a 3-0 here, LAG for Toronto means that LAG is going to somehow win this. So
That's
I'm
what
going
LAG
3-0.
does, though. They always
I
find a
swear,
way.
bro, I have picked nothing right about LAG this year. I'll probably gonna go back this week and look at my record with LAG this year because it's been so bad. Oh my, Sam, who you got?
I'd be a little contrarian too. I think Toronto, but I think 3-2.
Oh, we've all
What
got
is-
different map counts. Very fun.
I like it.
I think LAG will surprise
Cheen?
Toronto with like their play style. Obviously, I think Toronto is just at this point in the game a better team than LAG. But yeah, no, I think I see
Okay.
game 5.
All right, that's fair. Paris versus Minnesota up next. What do you believe about this Paris team with Temp? I mean, they did not have a good showing. It was ugly.
No.
It didn't look good. You're playing LAG, a team that, I mean, is their best chance to win. They're going to have all
Yeah.
group,
Mhm.
and they got 3-0'd. It's just like,
It's just
they
like
look horrible in Search and Destroy.
It's just like the upside with like Temp is just not there.
But it's like, it wasn't there with Fire either.
No,
So it's like, what are you gonna do?
That's the thing. Is just like
I mean, they looked.
the move just didn't make a whole lot of sense.
I mean,
to me.
debatably, you could say they looked worse.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking they looked better with fire.
Yeah.
But first
3-1
series
Minnesota.
with them, who
This
knows?
is such a Minnesota 3-1. This has 3-1 written all over it.
Yeah.
I mean, Paris is not winning this series.
No,
No way. Because
I mean, at this
the
point, we don't think Paris is going to win any series.
yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, because London's playing Atlanta up next, and that's a hot 3-0.
that's a hot 3-0.
How do you not pick a 3-0 at this point? At this point, it would just be for the sake of not picking it.
Yeah.
But like, come on, right? Like
LAG versus
Again,
Dallas.
ATL has 2. They have to win these after you lose a series like that to New York and you still have to play against Optic, and you still have to play against LA Thieves. And then it's like, you got to win these matchups, you know? So it's like, they're going to come out firing all cylinders, man. I have a lot of confidence in LAT or ATL. These stupid same letters. Moving forward. But all right, LAG versus DAL at this point.
DAL.
So Guerrillas versus Empire. Now, I mean, this gets a little interesting.
This is kind of a weird match.
This is one of those weird ones, one of those niche matches.
Will Huke be
where
playing?
You could see an LAG win here.
Will Felo be playing in this match? I'd imagine so. Yeah. Okay, Rex, take us away. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Dallas has to win this one. If they don't, it's gonna be an immediate roster change.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I think Dallas will win it. I think it'll be a Dallas 3-1.
It's gotta be a 3-1. Because if it goes 3-2 in an S&D, you get worried. You get worried real quick for Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, if Dallas loses, Huke's back in, and
it's like, this is what I'm saying. I'm horribly tempted to pick LAG here to win.
I think it's LAG 3-2.
But like, again, now because I thought that, I'm not picking it. So I'm going Dallas 3-1, even though my heart says to pick Sam.
What?
Go in the closet right now and put that freaking hat on. I just remembered. Sam lost the bet last week, and I was going to get it out earlier, and I forgot. He gets to wear the hat. It's on the left side behind the hoodies. Yeah, right there. It's back there. Oh, on the right side behind the hoodies. Yeah. So Sam lost the bet last week because I bet on LAT to beat London, right? And I won the bet. Things you love to see. And Sam is really struggling to find this hat back there in the closet. Oh, now we're back, baby. Yes, sir. Oh, things you love to see. Oh, yeah.
You looking good,
Looking
Sam.
good, Samuel.
I pee in pools, everyone.
That's facts. That's absolute facts. But all righty. Sam lost the bet last week, so it does get a little spicy. Sam's going LAG 3-2, though.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, my heart said pick LAG here, but that means I need to take Dallas because I'm so wrong about LAG at this point this year. I'm going against myself.
Yeah.
So now another, semi-interesting match. New York, Seattle. Does Seattle bounce back here? It's hard to imagine, right?
I feel like Seattle.
Do you give them a map?
Yeah.
I'm going New York 3-1.
Yeah.
So am I, dude. Josh, we're having like pretty much the exact same thing.
Oh, are we buddy
going on
system
here.
right now? Oh, we're off on one. We're off on 2 maps. Oh, we're off on 3 maps. It's a little bit different, at least. Not an ideal situation right now. Florida v Paris. Again, man. You got to be a believer in Florida here, right?
Mhm.
Big wake.
Coming off of the Winner's Rocker. Paris
has kind of been the thorn in Florida's side, though, this season.
I feel like these guys have matched up quite a bit.
Yeah, if I
I'll be
remember,
the guy
I have to
that
go back
does
and
it.
look at the records real quick.
I'll
Are
do
you
a
doing-
Florida 3-2.
So the last time they played, Legion won 3-1. The time before that, it was a 3-1 for Mutineers. Then the time before that, Legion 3-0'd them. So they played 3 times this year.
Yes.
Legion's got a 2-1 record in those matchups. Last time they played, they did win. That was 5 series ago.
Yeah.
So it does get a little interesting. I'm going to go Florida 3-1. I give them the advantage in basically every single game mode. It kind of depends on the maps they're going to play, but it's like at this point, how do you have any actual? This could be a 3-0.
Yeah.
It could be, but I'm going to go Florida 3-1 and hedge my bets there.
3-1 for sure for Florida.
The hard points is where you're looking at, and it kind of comes down to the maps they end up playing. But their pool, their map pool is just better all the way around. It's just better. So it gets really interesting. But all right, our last 2 matchups are kind of spicy.
They are.
Minnesota versus Toronto.
I like this one.
What do you believe about Minnesota? What do you believe about Toronto?
I'm going
Minnesota
Minnesota 3-2 on this one.
Oh,
I'm taking a Minnesota win. This is the start of the decline of the Toronto peak, and I think Minnesota seems like that right, mix of a squad that they could put an end to it.
The Ultra beat them 3-1 last time. They beat them on Express S&D. They lost map 1 on Hardpoint Raid, which is a surprise. I mean, that's Rocker's best map. Well, best Hardpoint map. And then they lost Express S&D. They won Raid Control. They won Garrison. Man.
This is the juice one, though. Minnesota is coming
Toronto's
out
gonna
real
win this.
hard.
3-2.
Minnesota's coming for the throat on Toronto. Toronto maybe in a way, not looking at Minnesota so intensely as Minnesota's looking at them.
Yeah, that's fine. I agree with that.
I'm seeing a Minnesota 3-2.
I think I'd want to see Minnesota win this one because it's like their performance was so disappointing against Florida. It's like I want to see a little bit of a bounce back here.
Yeah.
And because I want to be right about my power rankings and I don't want Toronto to look too good.
Yeah.
Because if Toronto ends up 3-0 in Minnesota and 3-0ing LAG, then I'll, they're going to be a top 3 team. But I'm gonna pick Toronto to win. I think that's the right call. I think that's just where I think logic points to that, where them being a little bit better in S&Ds. I like their advantages in hardpoint right now. I can see them splitting the hardpoints, and I like their advantages in control right now. Although it is a little bit interesting because like Minnesota's best control map would be Raid, but also is the Ultra. So that maybe they'll face off on Raid. And last time they played Raid control, Ultra won it 3-2. So I'm going to go Ultra 3-2.
That was a lot of words.
That was a lot of words.
Minnesota 3-1. It's going to be close.
Oh.
Close 3-1 Minnesota.
Whoa, really? I'm in the minority here.
Sure are.
Wow, Sam, welcome to the dark.
Yeah. Welcome to the big ball club.
Let's
look at
run
how dumb
into
you look,
Valhalla
you idiot.
together.
Yeah, and you look dumb. You're wearing Toronto's colors, man.
Am I?
The pink and white, man.
Hey, I pee in pools.
Okay, anyone want to make a bet on this match? Because I'm down.
I'll take
bets
the bet.
where
I'll void the bet.
I just don't like being abused. That's all.
If Toronto wins more
enjoy being
dominantly than
abused.
if Toronto wins 3-0, I'll call the bet off because I was
Okay.
wrong.
Okay.
3-1, I'm taking 3-1 though.
Okay. Deal.
All right. Deal. All right.
I
Fist bump.
I pee in pools.
Yeah. Idiot.
I'm so dumb.
Look how dumb you are.
Gosh.
I love this bet. This is great. All right, Chicago versus LA Thieves is our last match of the weekend. And Rex, fire away. What are your thoughts?
I'm going Chicago 3-1 on this one.
Yeah. I feel like I have to put my word. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Rex.
I mean, LA Thieves could easily surprise us.
Oh man.
Wow.
And I mean, LA Thieves might be better than I'm giving credit for, but I'm like, Sam, for some reason, I'm just down. I'm just not quite there with them.
Down. He's down.
And I think Chicago's Chicago. And I think Chicago kind of put them in their place. And I think it'll be Chicago 3-1.
Sam?
Chicago. Man, I kind of want to do Chicago 3-2, but at the same time, I feel like Chicago just has them in every game mode. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'd say so. You know what's crazy? A crazy stat here? That Thieves has yet to lose a checkmate since they brought in Draza.
Dang.
They are 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0 on checkmate on all game modes, across all game modes when they played them.
Oh,
Don't play them on checkmate. Don't do it.
The Optic.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. If Optic plays them on checkmate, they're dumb. They don't. Why? There's no point.
Makes no sense.
I mean, no sense.
Makes no sense.
I think Optic will play smart. I think Optic's going to stamp their foot. I think Optic wins. 3-0.
3-0. Whoa, the hot 3-0. Ladies and gents.
That's a hot take more. They probably will win 3-1, but it could be 3-2.
Yeah.
But I do think Optic will win. But all right, there it is. There it is. Pretty straightforward for our predictions this week. Nothing too wild. We wanted to kind of speed through that one. We're probably at like 2 hour mark at this point.
Probably.
I don't know where we're at. But all right. Intelligent or relevant, it's time to see how dumb the people are this week. Let's get it. Let's go.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
So, Sam, thoughts?
Man.
What is the poll this week, Samuel?
Which team is the best from the following selection?
Alrighty, fire away.
Rocker, Mutineers, Empire, and Thieves. Kind of the middling teams.
The middling teams.
Right now.
Okay. I mean, my gut instinct would say that it would say it's the Rocker.
Yeah, I feel like people are saying Rocker also.
But if you go with like major placements, Empire's top. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I forgot to retweet this. How many votes do we have?
87.
Okay, so a decent sample size.
Not quite 100. That's okay. We still love you. I'm gonna say that people thought Empire.
Okay, I'll say Rocker.
Okay, I'm gonna vote. I don't think people were high on Mutineers, so I'm gonna vote
I think
Mutineers.
it's LAT's probably lowest.
Rocker 50%.
Wow. Okay.
Jeesh. Okay. Empire 26%. Thieves 14%. Mutineers 10%.
Oh wow, Mutineers was lowest. Okay,
Mhm.
interesting.
Uh,
I mean, I'll give him the intelligent there because I would agree that I think that Rocker would be the
I can
highest
see
rated
it.
team of those four.
I can see that. I'll give
Any
him the
comments? You didn't read the comments. What are the people saying? I want to hear what they got to say.
same. This is from this guy told me how to pronounce his name last time. I got roasted.
You need to remember now, do you?
Dang it.
Well, how does it say it? Just full send. Full send.
Okay, I just lost.
Oh
okay,
my
here we
word,
go.
Sam's costing.
BQ Hodito, I think. Okay, I think that's right. I think that's right.
Bikiodito.
I think this is right.
Okay, fire away.
Because he told me what. Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry if I butchered it again, dude. You're the man. Sheesh, this is probably the hardest one thus far. I would give the edge to Rocker because they feel like the team with the deepest map pool at the moment, despite the loss to Florida.
Mhm.
Okay.
This is from Caleb 680244173. Tough, but I gotta go with Rocker. I think that if they can improve their S&D to where it was at the beginning of the season and hardpoint, which is still needs improvement, pair that with one of the league's best controls, they could be a scary, consistent team. Burger Monkey 219. That's a funny name. It's a hard
Monkey
choice
by the
between
gorillas.
thieves. It's a hard choice between the Thieves and Rocker. And then Steepify Rocker for sure. So Rocker.
Okay, the
was-
Rocker were dominating the comments down there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where are the proud Florida fans? Someone voted. Oh, Mika's not. Well, where's Mika at?
I don't
Come
know.
on, man.
There's only 4
Shout out,
comments,
Mika.
so
All right. Well, there it is, boys, girls,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen. That's the podcast. A pretty long one in the books today.
That one was intelligent. We're going with intelligent.
intelligent.
Yeah, definitely
for sure.
intelligent for sure.
Intelligente.
The people were smart today. But
Damn
Sam pees in pools, which we cannot forget.
I do.
We cannot forget that fact.
Cheers to that, man.
Listen,
So cheers to that.
it
you know,
happens, okay? If you're out there and you pee in pools, it happens.
he's rocking the pee in pools trucker hat
Yes.
right now. And yeah, there it is. Drop all your comments down below. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say about your predictions for this weekend. Your thoughts on some of these spicy moves. Your thoughts on New York. Are they legit? Are they winning champs? Is Clay the MVP? Who's the MVP this year? I want to know. Drop your thoughts down below. Everything else, and we will love to hear what you guys have to say. And follow us on Twitter. SalvationsElite, Bo3, Rex Shady Nero. But as always, guys, this has been the Best 3 Call Esports podcast. I'm Josh. SalvationsElite to my right is Bo3, and far right is Rex Shady Nero. And guys, we will see you
Get the
next
hat.
time.
Ooh-wee.
We out.